What's really interesting about this is how one unexpected act can turn everything upside down. Imagine watching someone who seems totally irresponsible, yet somehow manages to lead with fearless confidence and sparks real change in a chaotic world. It's kind of like watching someone juggling while balancing on a tightrope. They're calm and relaxed even though everything is on the line, literally. Today's episode is called Leadership in Chaos: What the Irresponsible Captain Tyler Taught Me. And it's all about Tyler's wild style of leading people without following the usual and conventional rules. I spent hours studying his strange moves and spotting moments where he trusts his gut to guide his crew through tough and total mayhem. If you're tired of doing things the same old way and want to learn how to thrive when everything around you seems crazy, this episode will give you some fresh ideas. And if you want to see why staying open-minded in chaos might be the secret to leading people well, I'm so happy you're here, and I really appreciate you joining me on this journey of growth and discovery. Maybe you had moments when you felt that you wasn't good enough to handle big challenges and you wanted someone else to show you a different way. Have you ever thought, maybe I need to try something totally out of the ordinary to succeed? Well, welcome to Momentum Mondays on the Zenroku Podcast Network. I'm your lovely host, Michael Yerby, a personal development expert and proud anime junkie. And if you want to support what we're doing here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends and family. For real, share it. Last week, we explored how Lupin III's super fast thinking helps him escape tough situations. We learned how quick wit, bold moves can make the impossible suddenly seem possible. If you missed it, don't trip, like Morty say. You can still go back and get some tips and stay sharp and confident when life throws surprises at you. What we'll discuss is how Tyler shows us that sometimes being irresponsible might just be unexpected form of leadership. Then we'll dig in how trusting your instincts can help you adapt even when everything is spinning out of control. And finally, we'll talk about turning chaos into an advantage by using open-mindedness and a light-hearted attitude. Before we jump into the next section and learn how Tyler's unorthodox style can change the way you think about leadership, let's unravel the first big lesson he shows us about thriving in chaos. You won't believe this, but Tyler's leadership style looks more like a casual day at the arcade than a high-stakes mission in space. The story background is set in a future where battleships and massive fleets define power, and Tyler somehow stumbles into command of one of the most important vessels. The conflict arises when the crew and higher-ups expect precision, rigid leadership, but Tyler goes with whatever feels right in the moment. The characters here are a mix of straight-laced officers who can't figure out why Tyler's carefree decision-making keeps working, and new recruits who gravitate towards his old charm. In the end, Tyler's do what it comes naturally mindset saves the day more than once, leaving everyone scratching their heads. This reminds me of my own experience in Miami, where I often felt out of place juggling different social pressures. People wanted me to act tough, but a good mentor showed me how that sometimes being my relaxed self led to better outcomes than trying to force a role that didn't fit. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't tough. Here's something that blew my mind. Tyler often solves problems by ignoring the chain of command altogether. The context is a tense standoff between rival fleets, everyone bracing for the worst. The conflict? The enemy's about the fire, and traditional captains will batten down the hatches or counterattack immediately. But Tyler, he invites the enemy leaders over for tea and crackers and silly jokes in the middle of the conflict. The crew panics, but the character of Tyler seems a friendly chat as a solution where everyone else sees missiles. This unexpected approach ends up defusing the fight before it even begins. If that doesn't sum up Tyler, I don't know what does. I once faced a similar situation in my military days where everything was by the book. Yet one sergeant reminded me that showing kindness to someone who seemed hostile can flip the script. It was wild how a simple gesture like offering water to a frustrated subordinate can break tension better than any formal protocol can. What's fascinating about this is how Tyler's lack of leadership becomes the heart of true leadership in the story's background. Morale is low because the crew doesn't trust Tyler's judgment. He just shrugs and says, "Let's see what happens." The conflict intensifies when an unexpected threat corners the ship, pushing them to the brink. Everyone believes that they're done for, but Tyler refuses to freak out. The character of Tyler might not look like a classic hero, yet his unshakable calmness rubs off on the crew, inspiring them to find quick, creative fixes instead of panicking all the time. Eventually, his carefree nature unites them because they see that being relaxed under pressure is his own kind of expertise. In my own life, I remember trying to keep calm after being robbed in middle school. By gunpoint, in the bathroom. Yeah, crazy. I'll be honest, even though fear was knocking, I found that my calm attitude reminded me of the importance of control, much like Tyler's approach. Now that we see how Tyler's seemingly careless actions hold more power than anyone imagined, let's pause and pull it all together before exploring how his instincts can guide you through any whirlwind. This might change how you think about it, but each of Tyler's lazy or carefree moves actually serves a bigger purpose, where he casually defies every protocol, yet still manages to protect the ship and crew. Then we saw how Tyler's off-the-wall tactics, like inviting an enemy over for tea, can dismantle threats faster than any bullets. And finally, Tyler's ability to stay unbelievably calm shows his crew and us that composure under pressure can unify everyone better than strict orders. Let me paint a picture for you. Tyler is sitting at the helm of a ship, staring at a massive asteroid belt. Everyone says it's impossible to navigate. The context: he gets an high-ranking officer breathing down his neck, demanding a logistical strategy. Conflict is that any wrong move means total disaster for the entire crew. The character of Tyler, however, doesn't bother with detailed flight plans. He just feels it out, steering the ship through chaos almost by instinct, leaving everyone in awe. In conclusion, we see that Tyler's gut-level trust becomes the key to success. He makes it look almost effortlessly. Honestly, this reminds me of when I was stationed at North Dakota at Minot Air Force Base at my first, and I felt stuck in the cold, locked in this restricted routine and area. But once I learned to rely on my own instincts, like deciding to arrive an hour early or setting everything up exactly how I saw fit, a bleak situation to a place where I could actually thrive, man, it was home. Here's a twist you didn't see coming. Tyler sometimes solves major crises by focusing on tiny details that everyone else overlooks. The context: the crew is panicking about a looming threat, and the ship alarms are blaring. The conflict is that no one can pinpoint what's causing the emergency or how to fix it. The character of Tyler, he casually walks into the room, notices a small valve hissing steam, and fiddles with it until the alarm stops. The conclusion: by trusting his own curiosity rather than the complications of a complicated system, he spares everyone from a meltdown. I relate to this with my own days when I was brand new in the military and everybody was freaking out, and I was like, why not this? People would jump into large-scale solutions, but sometimes the real answer was just checking the simplest thing, like verifying if a piece was plugged in right. That personal touch, just like Tyler's, came from the confidence to see small details nobody else would bother with. This is gonna sound wild, but Tyler doesn't always plan ahead. He rides the waves of chance and still comes out on top. Context: the ship's supply lines are cut off, and they're floating in dangerous territories without backup. The conflict is everyone's freaking out about running out of vital resources. The character of Tyler shrugs and says, "Let's fish for space creatures," turning a life-threatening shortage into an odd fishing expedition. Believe it or not, the conclusion is that they end up discovering a hidden passage and an ally they never expected. The random approach cracks open a path to survival. It's kind of like when I first reached Kadena Air Base and I was navigating that rocky engagement. I had no blueprint for handling personal stress in a new setting, but by wiggling it into meeting new people, exploring local culture, I stumbled onto friendships and opportunities that patched up my life in ways I never saw coming. With Tyler's fearless instinct setting an example on how to solve massive problems in the most unlikely ways, let's step back and take stock of his methods before we dive into how he actually flips chaos into a strong advantage. What's fascinating about this is how Tyler's gut decision carried him and his crew to safety in a crazy asteroid field. Then his knack for spotting tiny details proves more powerful than any high-tech system. Finally, he sees how leaping into the unknown can unlock entire solutions no others would have ever discovered. Let me share something unexpected. Tyler's upbeat spirit makes the even most hopeless missions feel doable. The context: the cruise ship is surrounded by enemy forces on all sides, and the power systems are failing quickly. The conflict arises when most captains would call for surrender, but Tyler just smiles and starts encouraging everyone to try more tactics. The character of Tyler refuses to label the situation as hopeless, so he keeps morale high by cracking jokes and calmly handing out orders. In conclusion, his positivity boosts the crew's confidence enough to pull off a risky countermaneuver and escape. I remember a time at Minot Air Force Base when I was nearly crushed by strict rules and freezing weather. Yet, I found my own upbeat attitude could inspire others to keep pushing. Just like Tyler, it kept me believing we could always find a way forward. What's even more amazing is how Tyler sometimes challenged the most basic beliefs about teamwork. The context: half the crew distrusted his methods, while the other half secretly admired his results. The conflict: they have to bond together during a critical battle, but the ship is on the verge of collapse. The character of Tyler encourages them to stop following tight roles and orders, telling them to pick the job they feel most suitable for in the crisis. The conclusion: by letting each person step into a role like matching their own strengths, the entire ship survives. This reminds me of the day I almost got robbed in middle school. And the reason I say almost, because I thought it was a joke, actually. And real, y'all, I leaned on the help of a friend who unexpectedly stepped up and saved me. It showed me how sometimes letting people choose how they can help can spark teamwork that no strict plan could ever create. The craziest thing about this is Tyler seeing failure not as a dead end, but as a chance to learn faster. The context: he once had charged into a key mission with barely any preparation, and it all went wrong. The conflict was the crew felt crushed, convinced their careless and carefree captain had led them to total defeat. The character of Tyler, however, treated it like a practice run, telling everyone to know what went wrong and then try again. In conclusion, their second attempt, now guided by those lessons, goes smoothly. So smoothly that the enemy is caught off guard. This viewpoint reminds me how I handle personal setbacks, like when my tonsil surgery went sideways at Minot. So if anybody knows anything about a tonsil surgery, which I had, they supposed to, after they do the surgery, they're supposed to actually check on you to make sure they didn't nick an artery or cut too deeply, because you're bleeding inside your mouth. And so when they have you on your back, you can bleed inside your mouth, and this actually happened for people. And it happened for me, where you bleed inside your mouth so much that you actually start breathing because you're choking on your blood. That's what happened to me. and no one was watching me. When they see that happening, when you start choking on your blood, you actually start throwing up because of that reaction. And somebody's supposed to be there to watch you, to turn you to the side and help navigate all that out. No one was watching me, and so I literally started choking to death. And I remember them slapping me, trying to wake me up and everything of that nature. And I'm like going in and out, and they like, we're losing them. It was crazy. Long story short, I was in intensive care for 3 days after that. My mom, at the time I was 19, and my mom went crazy when she found out what happened. Of course, I'm away from home. My mom is a registered nurse, so she knows somewhat of all that entails, and she was pissed, to say the least, guys. So it's a long story short, I almost choked on my own blood, and died. But that scare taught me how short life can be. It pushed me to learn from mistakes and keep going, much like Tyler's fall forward approach. With Tyler's optimism, flexible teamwork, and fearless attitude towards failure, let's take a moment to gather these insights before we see exactly how he flips chaos into an advantage worth sharing. This is where it gets really good. Tyler's positive vibe creates a force that carries his crew out of a trap. His relaxed approach to teamwork turns doubt into collaboration. And Tyler treats failure like a stepping stone. He gets up, learns, and tries again with fresh confidence. Let me share something unexpected. Tyler doesn't lead with strict rules or a perfect plan. He dives headfirst into chaos with confidence and calmness. We see how his carefree attitude actually helps him protect his crew against the toughest threats. Then we witness how trusting his instincts and spotting the smallest details made the biggest difference, sometimes even discovering entire new paths to success. Finally, we learned that Tyler's willingness to stay positive, welcome unique teamwork styles, and treated failure as a learning stepping stone into chaos and a chance for growth. By looking at leadership as flexible, people-first endeavor, Tyler shows us that thriving in the unexpected might be the key to real success. With these lessons on Tyler's offbeat leadership style fresh in mind, let's move on to the final moments where we wrap everything up and see how you can apply these ideas in your daily life. Have you ever felt like the usual rule book for success was holding you back instead of lifting you up? That's exactly what Tyler breaks wide open in our episode today. Leadership in chaos, what the irresponsible Captain Tyler taught me. His story shows us that thriving in chaos doesn't require a blueprint. It demands an open mind and a willingness to trust your instincts. I spent a lot of time researching and reflecting to bring these lessons to you because I know firsthand how tough it can be to move forward when everything feels uncertain. But now that you know that in chaos, you can find growth, solutions, and better teamwork if you're ready to stay positive, adapt, and learn from every misstep. If you want more of these insights, don't forget to support our channel by clicking the links in the description. Until next time, keep trusting your instincts, embracing the unexpected, and leading with fearless adaptability. Because real leadership isn't about controlling chaos, it's about thriving in it. Peace.